All right, hello, welcome back to my channel. If you've been here before and if you haven't, hi. Anyways, hi, welcome. My name is Shaina. I'm an astrologer and tarot reader, and today we are continuing my interception series. This is Cancer, Capricorn intercepted, as well as 4th house, 10th house intercepted. If you want to know what an interception is because you're not sure how to find one or calculate it in your, if you have one in your chart, all you have to do is click this playlist up here. Because this is my interception series playlist. I have how to find an interception as well as Aries, Libra, Taurus, Scorpio, and Gemini, Sagittarius intercepted already up. So you can watch those if you haven't yet. And then this is also a part of a greater series, which is my free learn astrology course. I'm basically starting from the beginning, teaching you all about astrology. So if you are at all confused or just kind of want to start from the beginning or need clarification on something, whatever it may be, I might already have a video about it, so definitely as well check that playlist up in the cards right here. Another quick little disclaimer at the beginning of this video is that my next video is not going to be Leo Aquarius intercepted, okay? But that does not mean, I do not want you thinking for a second that I am not going to do that video, because of course I will be finishing out my whole interception series come 2025. I will be posting the 2 last of the interception videos, as well as a video about doubles or videos, we'll see what I do, as well as videos about intercepted planets. So I will be 1000% continuing the series in 2025, but you will not be seeing a video from me next week. I will be taking Christmas week off, not fully. I still will be doing some work that week, but I will be taking the week off from filming a video, and then I will be back at the week following with my end of the year zodiac ranking. I will be taking a few weeks off of this interception series, but please do not think for a second that I'm not going to be finishing it. But before we get any further into this video, because I've already done quite a bit of blabbing at the beginning here, let me get some advertising out of the way. So I sell full-length birth chart readings on my website, shainaemily.com. I have, regular birth chart readings, transit readings, synastry readings, a bunch of other readings, as well as tarot readings. I do have an astrology TikTok, which is at shaina.emily. And I go live there every Monday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. Yes, I do. Okay. Sorry, but for the new year, for 2025, I think I'm going to be adjusting my schedule a little bit. And so I may be going live on Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, starting in 2025. Please always just check my bio on TikTok, because my bio always will say the next time that I'm going live. It will always be updated. So just check my bio if you want to know when I go live. I do live readings on TikTok, little mini readings. We hang out, we chat. It's a really fun time, and it's really nice to connect with you guys. So definitely check me out over there. But yes, without any further ado, because this intro has already been pretty long, let's just get into this really long interception video, because even though I haven't filmed it, I know it's going to be long, and you know what? That's okay. I've honestly accepted it. Intercepted Cancer, Capricorn. So basically, to really summarize this interception, it's no mommy, no daddy. It's kind of feeling like you don't have much of a support system around you growing up. Cancer represents the mother, Capricorn represents the father, Cancer represents being provided for on an emotional level, and Capricorn represents being provided for on a material level. So having these intercepted, I think, can be really hard, because it is a lack of support, just in general, a lack of feeling like you have parental figures that you can count on. Whether that means that you do have them or not is different. You may have them, but they may not show up in the way that you want them to, or you may not feel like you have them much at all, or you know them much at all, you have a connection to them much at all. You guys know that I've been doing the kind of messy thing of ranking the interceptions from what I think is the hardest interception to have at number 1 to what I think is the least hardest interception to have at number 6. Now, again, I keep on prefacing that I think that no matter what, having an interception is one of the hardest things to have in a birth chart. So even if your interception is at like number 6, it still causes probably a bunch of issues, and it's still probably pretty hard, but I do think some are harder than others. And because of the fact that, like Aries Libra, this is also a cardinal combination, Cancer Capricorn, I do think that this one veers a lot harder than a lot of the other ones, because cardinal energies, not because I think they're better or worse than other energies, but because they are like represented by the angular houses. They kind of represent the main building blocks of life. You know, Aries, Libra is me and you. Cancer, Capricorn is mommy, daddy. So missing this Cancer, Capricorn can be pretty imperative in how you're being raised. You know, as you know, I put Aries, Libra at number 1. I put Taurus, Scorpio at number 5. I put Gemini, Sagittarius at number 4. And I'm putting Cancer, Capricorn at number 3. So the reason why I didn't put it at number 2, because I do think it is hard, is because there are some traits of Capricorn that are just like, you know, maybe you're better off not having. You know what I mean? Like, Capricorn can represent a lot of struggles and a lot of just hard work and a lot of like getting the short end of the stick. So not having that and having Gemini, Sagittarius ruling the energies where Cancer, Capricorn should be, in some ways it does bestow upon you a lot more luck and sometimes a lot more ease in life and getting what you want. Now, again, it's still a really hard interception to have, but in some ways, I do think it can make life a little bit lighter and not as challenging. But those things that you're missing are really, really crucial things. So that's why I'm putting it at number 3. Let me know if you agree with it so far. If even the interception that you have, do you feel like I kind of graded them correctly? So yeah, let's hop back to intercepted Cancer. So this is a real disconnection from the mother. This is a real feeling that you weren't properly nurtured and taken care of growing up. You know, maybe when you cried, your parents had that kind of idea of, oh, whenever the baby cries, we just have to leave them and let them figure it out for themselves. I feel like that kind of concept would really create a Cancer intercepted, because you're really implanting that rhetoric of when you cry out and ask for help, nobody's there to help you. When you seek out emotional comforting, or when you seek out, you know, emotional help, nobody's there to help you and nobody's there to give it, which can be very challenging and can feel very lonely and isolating. This winds up in the future creating a strong disconnection from your emotional self. You may just not feel as emotional as others. You may be aware of other people's emotions because you probably still have Pisces somewhere ruling a house. You may be able to manipulate and understand and feel these real strong emotional impulses that are really deep and dark like Scorpio, but you may not feel like you have a connection to this kind of surface level sort of, this is how I'm feeling this day because of this. This is how you made me feel. You know, I was thinking this interception, especially if you don't have any planets in Cancer, and especially if you just don't have much water energy in general, this could definitely be an energy with like alexithymia. If you've ever heard what that is, it's basically just where you struggle to kind of figure out how you're feeling and find words for what you're feeling and communicate what you're feeling when you're feeling it. It just makes it really hard and really confusing, and definitely Cancer intercepted kind of makes me think of alexithymia. This is definitely somebody that wasn't really babied growing up, you know? They maybe, because Cancer is like the little baby that we go, oh, we love you, oh, we nurture you, oh, go you boo, go you boo boo boo, you know? You just might have not felt like you came from a family that was really like that, or you got much of that energy for some reason. I could totally see this being somebody that, you know, the parents had another kid right after you, and they're the youngest, so they're the one that's always being babied, and you're left to kind of be the middle child, might even be a feeling with this energy. You really felt like growing up, whenever you showed emotion or whenever you expressed how something made you feel, it was really shut down and it was really a negative experience. It was not something where you felt like, oh, I showed my emotion and people listened and they understood and they maybe even pitied me. The course shifted and changed ways and I got what I wanted. No. It felt like anytime I express how I feel, it goes the exact opposite way that I want it to. Everybody gets upset. Nobody understands. Nobody listens. And so what's the point in even speaking up about how I feel? And especially if you have no planets in there, what's the point of feeling it in the first place? If you have planets in Cancer that are intercepted, you desperately wanted to receive that nurturing and receive even that pity. And I'm using the word pity, but I wish I had a better word for it because it's really just like emotional understanding. Like, you know, when you share something with somebody and somebody goes, oh my God, you know, I completely get where you're coming from. That's so valid, you know, and blah, blah, blah. Like, it can be very emotionally invalidating with this energy. Not super deep, dark emotions. Like, it feels like something big and extreme has to happen if you have Scorpio energy, at least, or Scorpio not intercepted in your chart as well. It feels like something big and dark and scary and extreme has to happen for you to be able to be allowed to feel it and express it. You know, something at a scorpionic level has to happen. Just these little minor disturbances or these little issues or complaints or hiccups that happen in day to day, you feel like you're not allowed to be affected by, and you're not allowed to share your feeling with them, and you just kind of have to keep it in. And if you have no planets in Cancer at all and this intercepted, you probably look at people and are like, oh my God, people get so stuck on these little petty emotional grievances, and it's like, ugh, I roll, you know, get over it. I don't know why people get so emotional about everything and need to be babied and need to have their hand held. I've never gotten my hand held. I've never gotten babied, and I've still figured it out. Can be a little bit of the mentality of somebody that, you know, may have no planets in Cancer as well as it being intercepted. This is somebody that felt like they weren't internally supported, like they weren't allowed to grow. Because you weren't nurtured, you aren't allowed to grow and change internally and figure out who you are. That is being reflected from the emotional experiences that you experience in life. It's kind of giving like not allowed to be that like temper tantrum throwing little toddler. You know, that can be like very Cancer energy sometimes. And it may feel like you always had to outsmart people, especially with Gemini taking over that house. Like anytime you wanted to throw a tantrum, instead you needed to rather use your words and manipulate the situation to make it go the way that you wanted, because seeking emotional pity or seeking emotional understanding was not going to get you anywhere. Definitely not allowed to cry. Whether you have planets in Cancer or no planets in Cancer, you were not allowed to cry growing up. That was definitely something that was shunned and pushed down, and you know, you might have a very cold family, and as you get older, because you weren't allowed to cry as a child, you may just not cry as much as others as an adult. You may cry for other people's pain or suffering if you have strong Pisces or Scorpio energy, but with that lack of Cancer, you may struggle to kind of cry for your own and process your own and really validate your own emotions in the day-to-day especially. Anytime you vent or complain, you feel like it's quickly shut down or scoffed at. Like everybody else can go, ugh, this sucks, or ugh, this is stupid, and voice a petty complaint, and people go, oh yeah, I agree, you know, and move forward. But for you, for some reason, it's shown as maybe a weakness, or it's shown as you're not allowed to do that, or you feel like if you do that, people are going to have the upper hand on you, or for whatever it is. You just feel like you aren't allowed to vent, you aren't allowed to complain, you aren't allowed to get out all those, you know, maybe grosser feelings out there that just need to be let out real quick so you can move past them. That may be another thing. Something about Cancer is that I will say sometimes it just needs to be heard. You know, sometimes Cancer doesn't need anything to change. So there might just be this feeling that everything kind of sits and boils within you, because you never just get to go, oh God, this fucking sucks. You know, I love to say that. I'll just go, ugh, this is shitty. You may just never do that. And so there may be a buildup of all these petty grievances and all these complaints and all these little things that you could use to vent about. But because you don't know how to share or express your emotions, because you don't have any Cancer energy, it just builds and builds within you. Again, with interceptions, things will always topple over, and the other end of the extreme will wind up coming out eventually. And so eventually you will have this big emotional explosion that is very overwhelming and a little bit inappropriate for the setting or the time and the place that you're at. It may be this big, whoa, a big, you know, volcanic explosion of emotions that just seem like, where did this come from? You know, it may very much be like, dude, this isn't even that big of a deal. Why are you making this that big of a deal? And it's because of the buildup of all the shit that you haven't complained about for so long that eventually comes out, and it doesn't come out in the most healthiest of ways. Cancer can be very good at sitting somebody down and being like, hey, I need to talk about this, you know, and like, I need to process this and talk about this with you before it gets too big. Like, I think actually that's something that Cancer can do when it's in its good energy. So that may be something that you're very bad at. You know, you struggle to sit people down and just talk about the way that you're feeling. And so it just builds up and explodes after a while, you know? You're just not that sweet, you know, especially with Gemini overtaking that energy. I'm such a Cancer rising, and I have 2 little Cancer rising puppies. And what do I do to them all the time? Oh, my little babies. Oh, I love my little puppies. they're not here right now, or else they'd be like coming around. My boyfriend's taking them out on a little car ride, and so you just might not be that way. You know, you might not be somebody that, you know, does a little baby talk and is super sweet and cuddly. You may not even be somebody that likes to cuddle that much. You may be somebody, you know, what's so funny, something about this client that I had a little bit ago that has a Cancer Capricorn interception and some strong Virgo energy. I told them about Cancer Capricorn interception, and then let me tell you, they taught me about it just by what I said, bringing up things in their life. I was like, damn, actually, I need to shut up and listen to them because they're giving me great insight. They mentioned about how they hate sharing their bed, very Virgo energy. But you know, Cancer doesn't have that want to cuddle, doesn't have that want to snuggle up with somebody. Like as a Cancer rising, I sleep on a bed in the living room so I can sleep with all 4 of my dogs and my boyfriend snuggled up next to me, and I get absolutely no space, and I mostly sleep like this or weird or something, but I don't care because I'm a Cancer rising. And as somebody without Cancer, that's just not going to be your MO. You'd rather be like, well, why would I want to be uncomfortable, you know, sleeping in a pile of dog fur? Probably see the dog fur on my shirt too. You know, when I can easily sleep in my own bedroom, unbothered in my own bed, especially if you have Virgo energy, might be a little bit of that rhetoric there, just not super snuggly, not super sweet. You know, you have Libra energy, so you may be good at relationships, but you may not be very good at the affectionate, sweet, little sweet nothings, you know? You may not be very sentimental as well. I'm so sentimental as a Cancer rising. Every item behind me has some sentimental story about why I keep it around, you know? As a Cancer intercepted, especially if you have like Scorpio energy, you're going to be somebody that's just not very sentimental. You might not have many things from childhood. You know, maybe you didn't have stuffed animals as a kid growing up. Maybe you're not one even to take care of pets or have an interest in pets. Maybe if you do like pets, like you maybe have some 6th house energy because 6th house rules like small pets and animals. Maybe you're just more of a cat person because they're more independent. They kind of do their own thing, you know? You don't have to take care of them as much if you even want a pet to begin with, you know? And because of this, you can sometimes be pinned as a little bit heartless, especially if you have a moon that's like, you know, Virgo, or what's another moon? Like Aquarius, even like an air moon, like Gemini. You may be pegged as a little bit more heartless or a little bit more unfeeling just because you don't have those strong, you know, sort of emotional attachments to things and people as others do. Another theme with Cancer intercepted is you might not have felt like you had a steady home growing up, or like a safe place to call your home. Or if you did have a strong steady home, like maybe you have a really solid 4th house that came in clutch, you just might have not felt super like warm and friendly and nurturing and like homey. It just might have felt a little bit more stiff or cold. Maybe you moved a lot, or you were transferred back and forth between the 2 parents because they were divorced, but you never made a strong connection to either parent because you never had enough actual time with them, or you have so many siblings that you never get your own room. You know, this could be an energy of somebody that grew up with like 10 siblings and you share a room with them, so you never get your own like Cancerian space that's like mine and your little 4 walls that you can kind of call your own and go to, you know? This might even be an energy where you didn't know your family. You don't have a strong connection to your family, especially if you have like a lot of 11th house stuff that can equal a lot of feelings of displacement in the birth chart. Growing up, me and my family had a lot of holidays. I was raised half Jewish, half non-religious, so I would get both Christmas and Hanukkah growing up. Very strong. Birthdays were a big deal growing up. Everyone's birthday was a huge event, like was a, you know, a big enough event where we'd at least get together and have dinner. And so I'm thinking with a Cancer interception, you just didn't really have those sort of family events growing up, those little nostalgic memories. Like I have so many memories of like making deviled eggs with my mom on Thanksgiving. And I think with a Cancer interception, you just wouldn't have those sort of memories or those sort of like endearing childhood things. And if you have Cancer energy, then you were dying to have these things. And maybe you were even the kid growing up that was like, let's go out and buy Christmas decorations, you know, and your family was like, we don't have money for that, or who's gonna go put it up, or like, well, this ain't our house, I don't want something to happen to it, or whatever it might be. And so I just don't think that you got those fun family traditions and those fun holidays and those events kind of growing up. Like, even if you did have Christmas, it might have just felt like an empty gift exchange, you know? Or if you did have those holiday events, maybe you just had no want to participate in them, and maybe you were a little bit of the Scrooge or the Grinch that would stay in your room and refuse to celebrate, you know? Maybe people wouldn't remember your birthday in one year, and so if you have Scorpio energy or Taurus energy, you held that grudge, so now you never want to celebrate those holidays or something along those lines. I would assume also with this energy that you do not like spending much time in the home. You're not a big homey person, especially with Gemini and Sagittarius taking over the house that's intercepted. I would assume this is a big theme. You know, Gemini Sagittarius is here, there, everywhere, exploring the world, going here, trying that, doing this, doing that. When with the Cancer intercepted and Gemini overtaking the house, it's like, why stay home when there's so much out there in the world? When there's all these things I want to try? When I'm being invited to go all these places and I have these friends in this big social group with Gemini overtaking it, that it's like, there's no reason to be at home. Maybe this is a person that doesn't really have a home at home and couch surfs a lot. I had a small period of about a year, maybe a little bit less than that, with a Cancer Capricorn interception right after my mom died, which is just makes so much sense. And if you've watched my video about progressed Scorpio moon, I go into more about how I knew this was when my mom was going to pass, which if you're interested, I'll link that video in the cards. But when Cancer Capricorn was intercepted in my chart, I really did not have a room to call my own. I really did not have a home to call my own. So that can definitely be a strong theme with Cancer intercepted, with Gemini overtaking the house, kind of jumping from person to person, couch surfing, jumping from house to house, all that kind of stuff. Or you're just like, why would I stay home when there's so much out there in the world? Maybe you do have a stable home. Maybe you have a really stable fourth house or something along those lines. And you've like Venus in there, so you're like, don't have any worries about it. But you're just like, well, why be home when there's like so much more I can go out and do? I want to go out, I want to party, I want to drink, I want to have fun, I want to try new things. There's no point in staying home and letting life pass you by, which is, I get what you're saying. Even though I stay home all the time, I do get where that's coming from. With that Cancer energy, but it being intercepted, you may have desperately wanted a safe and warm home, but it may just not been something that's available to you. You may be somebody that's such a homebody and really wants that place to be a recluse, but you just might have not felt like that was ever available to you or given to you or supplied to you. I also think with Gemini overtaking the house, I think of Gemini as that friend that goes grocery shopping with you, even though they have no reason to go there. They don't need anything. They're completely broke. They're just along for the ride. And so with Cancer intercepted, I was thinking that this can be a real invasion of personal space, because again, Gemini energy is that, you know, I think of it as like that sister that just hangs out with you wherever you go, even if you're taking a shower, like very Gemini energy. And so with Gemini overtaking it and Cancer intercepted, I feel like there's kind of no personal space that you got growing up. Like, as an only child, I think it makes a lot of sense. I have Cancer rising and Leo, doubled in my third house because I was alone so much of the time. So with this energy, I wouldn't be surprised if you have a lot of siblings or there was a lot of, people going in and out in the home. And so you just never got your personal space, or you just had a parent that was a real intrusion of privacy and really never gave it to you and like always felt like they were around or something along those lines. But you just may never really do things alone. You may never do things on your own, which also kind of goes into that Capricorn interception of like that independence that Capricorn has that says like, I want to do this, so I'm just going to go and do it. So you may always have people around and you may not have much of your own personal space. And because you always have people around, that adds to that feeling of how you're going to know yourself emotionally and what it is you really feel when you always have people around you acting as a buffer to be able to get deep and intimate with yourself. Really with the Cancer intercepted, you really lack a certain level of intimacy with yourself. Also, I'm thinking, because there's a lack of sentimentalness to you, you may also lack a level of emotional memory or just memories in general. You may not, do it for the memes, may not be your vibe. You may not be a big like person that takes pictures or has many pictures or many photo albums or many little mementos to remember things by. That just may not be your vibe. You may also struggle to settle down because you lack this level of wanting this connection with somebody else, and because of that Capricorn intercepted, you lack that longevity and that long-term planning, which we'll talk about in a second. But with Gemini, Sagittarius overtaking, and especially, we're talking about Gemini right now, with Gemini overtaking the house, there's this fickle nature, oh, I'll be with you for a while, I'll be with you for a while, I'll be with you for a while, and it can be hard to really settle down. Cancer is that energy that really settles down with somebody, so you may never get that experience, or you may never really get to feel that because you lack that Cancer quality growing up. And if you have Cancer energy, you're desperate to settle down with somebody, and you're desperate to make a home and build a family with somebody, but with it intercepted, you may never get that. You know what may also be intercepted Cancer is like raising somebody else's kids. I've never thought about that because it's intercepted Cancer, so it's like those aren't your kids, but maybe you have planets in Cancer, so you're having to raise them anyways because the person that you're with already has a family. And because you have Gemini, Sagittarius overtaking the houses, you took a really long time to settle down and commit to somebody. And so by the time you did, everybody was a lot older and kind of already had kids. I'm totally making up my own story in my head, but I feel like this would resonate with a person or two out there, especially if you have actual planets in Gemini and Sagittarius. This may be especially pertinent to you. And so I could see this being an energy that, you know, finally maybe something moved into Cancer or Capricorn in their progressed chart and they finally settled down with somebody, but I wouldn't be surprised if that person already has kids that they're having to take care of. So they have this family, Cancer planets, but it's not technically fully theirs with that interception. You know, I could definitely see that being a thing. Also with Cancer intercepted, something my boyfriend said about Cancer, maybe like a year into us first hanging out, was that he was like, you know, Cancers are good at one thing and they're only good at that one thing, but whatever they are, they're really a master at it and they're really obsessed and fixated on it. And I've never seen anybody talk about that in astrology anywhere. I never thought about that, but ever since he said that, I've been like, you know, being aware of it, seeing if it rings true or not. And I have noticed it rings very, very true. It'll be somebody that is really good at guitar, but they're not good at being in a band. They're not good at writing songs, but they're amazing, just phenomenal at playing the guitar, but they can't manage a business, but they can't do, you know what I mean? That's kind of like the one thing that they can do and that's it. Like, all I can do is astrology. God forbid I try to do something aesthetic or not just sit and talk in front of a camera and it completely just goes off the track, right? So I was thinking with this Cancer intercepted, you may lack a certain heart or passion to be just obsessed with one thing. With Gemini overtaking the house, you may kind of spread yourself really thin and be obsessed with a lot of things and struggle to just focus and hone in on one thing and put all your passion and heart and put all your eggs into one basket and do it. You may live a life that's very spread out. Just like how your homes are probably all over the place and a little bit inconsistent, your talents and your interests are a little bit spread out and a little bit inconsistent. Another big thing is I don't think that this energy reflects, because Cancer is that energy that just sits and dwells and thinks about the past and gets stuck in the past and is like, oh, whoa, why did I do this? You know, oh, you know, it's very Cancer energy. And so I think with this energy, you don't reflect. I think this can be somebody that can be really hard to have in a partnership, actually, because chances are they have Libra ruling a house, so they're able to do that social side, but they don't sit back and they don't reflect about how something that they did might have hurt somebody, or they don't reflect and think how maybe they made the wrong decision and they should have done something else. You know, with Gemini or Sagittarius overtaking the house, they're just going to say, next thing, who cares who I hurt, whatever it may be, this logically made the most sense of, so of course I made this decision, you know, fuck your feelings, this is what I did, let's move forward, let's keep going. And so in some ways it's good, because I know as somebody with strong Cancer Capricorn energy, I have a lot of regrets in life, and I definitely think that this is the energy that is like, no regrets. You know what I mean? Live fast, live hard, do what you want, you know, whatever it may be kind of energy, no looking back. And so in a way, I think it's really healthy because you don't get stuck on all these things that happened in the past, you know, which is why this energy, I didn't put it number 2, I put it at number 3, because you just keep moving forward, which can be very healthy. But in one way, it can be hard because I think you're less likely to learn from your mistakes. This can be somebody that can have these real strong emotional tantrums and act almost like that really, you know, that toddler that didn't get the toy they wanted in Walmart when they're much older, because they never were allowed to have those tantrums or those fits. And so when they're older and they do inevitably have those feelings and they can come up, you can really see this person who you thought was very mature and emotionally a little bit maybe better than you or a little less stuck on things than you. You can see, you know, these extremes of them really being a baby and really having these extreme emotional tantrums over nothing because they've held it in for so long. And it's gonna be somebody that really struggles to get to be vulnerable. You know, this is a real struggle with vulnerability and honesty. You know, maybe with that Scorpio, maybe if they have Scorpio energy and that Pisces energy that they may have, maybe they're able to get you to be vulnerable and listen to your vulnerabilities and hear you out and really empathize or sympathize with you. But maybe they don't do that themselves. Maybe they keep a lot of things to themselves, especially I think Gemini Sagittarius can be a very mentally strategic energy. Not always, you know, sometimes it can be a little bit, you know, but Gemini can definitely be very mentally strategic and very much, you know, playing chess instead of checkers. I do think this can be an energy that can really get you to express a lot of your emotions, but may never kind of give back and be vulnerable. And that can cause a wrench in a lot of relationships and be part of the reason why you struggle to settle down with somebody with that Cancer intercepted. In a good way, you're really not sensitive to your environment. This is something that I'm so jealous of. I am so sensitive to my environment and what's around me. And I just think with Cancer intercepted, you just don't give as much of a shit. If you're around a bunch of mess, or if you're around a bunch of people you fucking hate, or whatever it may be, I just don't think you're as sensitive to it as others, as affected by it, as hung up by it as other people may be, which is why you don't need as safe as a home and why you can kind of couch surf and live wherever, because it just doesn't matter as much to you. Also, this may just not be somebody that wants to have kids, especially if this is in your intercepted in your 5th house. Doesn't really like kids. You may, you know, struggle to connect with them or something along those lines. Now, if you have planets in Cancer but it's intercepted, this could be somebody that is, you know, really wants to have children but is infertile, or this could be somebody that really loves kids and really wants to be around them, but was always, you know, never got to be, or never, for whatever reason, that you know, they never got to hold a baby growing up and they really missed out on that opportunity. Also, this is small, but I think it's valid enough to say it. There may be a real disconnection from your breasts or your chest or boobs in general. Like, I was thinking if this is somebody who likes girls, this would be somebody who liked fake tits, because it's like Cancer intercepted. So it's like Gemini and Sagittarius overruling the house. And like, I think Gemini rules a lot of plastic surgery, or at least a lot of Gemini energy gets plastic surgery. So it would make me feel as though, because Cancer is intercepted, it's like this would be somebody that would love big fake boobs. Or if this is a girl that has breasts, this is somebody with like smaller boobs, or a little bit of a disconnection from your boobs, or you know, maybe you have big boobs but you absolutely hate it. Like, maybe you have a bunch of planets in Cancer but they're intercepted, so this would be somebody that would like want to get a breast reduction because you have these giant boobs but you're absolutely miserable about it and you don't want them there, or like something along those lines. Also, maybe if you have kids and with this Cancer intercepted, this may be somebody that like struggles to produce milk. That may be a theme. So yeah, there can just be a disconnection from your breasts. There can be a disconnection from motherhood. There can be a disconnection to children and things of that nature with this interception. Also, I was like speculating, like maybe this is somebody with a fear of swimming, or a fear of bodies of water, a fear of drowning. Maybe you didn't spend much time swimming or in water growing up. Definitely, I think of Cancer as like the swimmer. I don't think you'd like taking baths with this interception, but these are such small little like anecdotes. So let's move on to Gemini overtaking the house. Do you really intellectualize what should be felt? What you should feel, and just be like, this is how I feel about this. This is how this makes me feel. You rather intellectualize it, and you don't allow yourself to just feel it. It's kind of like the person at a funeral who doesn't cry. And I think the thought process is with Gemini overtaking the house, like, death happens to everyone, you know, so why am I crying about it when I could be next? Would be my thought with that Gemini overtaking the house. Like, can't change the past, gotta keep moving forward. Gemini Sagittarius overtaking the houses. Not saying, I don't want you thinking like this is a person that like, if somebody close to them dies, they're not affected by it, because yeah, I think they would still be affected by it, but they just probably wouldn't show it as much, or express it as much, or seek others' condolences as much. This is definitely somebody that pushes away, pushes down all the hard emotions, and just jokes about everything. And listen, I'm a person that's all for jokes and joking about hard stuff and joking about shit that shouldn't be joked about, but with Cancer intercepted, it may take it a little bit too far. And with Gemini overtaking that house, you know, or you may, you know, be the person that always gets the, ooh, too soon, you know, kind of remark. You know, it can be a little bit of a bully energy, if I'm being honest with you, because you don't have that Cancer quality. This is, you know, you have Cancer intercepted. I wouldn't be surprised if you came from a bad household. You didn't have your mom, you didn't have your dad, you know, you weren't really supported. You got bad grades because nobody really cared because you have Capricorn intercepted. So what do? You lash out at everybody else that you see that has Cancer energy as a kid. You lash out at all those kids that have a supporting mom, that get to cry, that get to, you know, have birthdays and feel special. You're going to lash out at them and make fun of them because you have Gemini ruling that house and you have Sagittarius ruling the other house. Sagittarius love to try to fight. They're always trying to fucking fight everyone, you know? So you're gonna, you know, Sagittarius overtaking the house, you're gonna try and fight everyone. Gemini overtaking the house, you're gonna fucking be mean and you're not gonna give a shit who you hurt because you're hurt all the time because you have Cancer intercepted, you know? So this is very much that sort of big bully kind of energy. Where there should have been empathy and emotional understanding, Cancer intercepted, there was bullying and mocking. Gemini overruling the house. And I would say if you have Cancer planets in the house, but with Gemini overruling it, it's like you were the kid that was mocked and made fun of and bullied all the time, you know, and you were not given that emotional nurturing that you wanted because you have this Cancer energy, yet it is intercepted. Intercepted Capricorn. It gives me major Peter Pan syndrome vibes, you know. I don't want to grow up, you know. I don't want to be an adult, please. You know, especially with the millennials having Neptune and Capricorn, this is just going to emphasize this feeling, especially because most people that have, I've noticed at least in North America, that have a Cancer Capricorn intercepted, a lot of them have Sagittarius on the rising sign. So this is definite, I don't want to grow up. I don't want to get older. I don't want to have responsibilities, you know? You know, Capricorn is that feeling in us like, I can build an empire. I can run my own business. I can do what I want and I can be my own authority. And with an intercepted, you just might not have felt like you got to do that. You might not have felt like you get to be your own authority, or you get to have authority over others, or you get to be your, you know, be your own business owner, or you get to be an adult. And it's a very, very, very much monkey in a suit kind of vibes. You know, that person that I referenced that gave me quite a bit of insight into this interception said, is this why I really never feel like I'm actually an adult? I think everybody else must just be faking it and that they're not real adults, you know, is kind of like the theme of what he said. And it's like, well, I mean, everybody has imposter syndrome to a certain extent, but I do think that this energy feels it even stronger and feels even more like it's put on and ha ha he he. Especially if you have Capricorn planets that are intercepted, you're really going to feel like, oh, I'm just putting this on ha ha he he, you know? Because you have Cancer intercepted and you have a disconnection with the mother. With Capricorn intercepted, there's a disconnection to the father as well. You know, you didn't have that nurturing, motherly, supportive mom. You probably also didn't have that father that provides for you materially and shows you what it's like to be a man or a woman. You know, you weren't shown how to materially provide, and growing up you didn't have somebody that materially really provided and was this like stable sense of security. With Sagittarius overtaking the house, it might have been a big gamble. Long-term material security may have been really up or down. You know, you might not have had that, you know, you might have had a family that took big risks with their money, didn't know how to save, didn't have a bank account, didn't know how to handle things on a professional level, and you can feel really lost and really like you weren't set up for life in a way that a lot of others were growing up. No one maybe takes you very seriously, or maybe you struggle to take yourself very seriously, especially with that Sagittarius overtaking the house, where there should be long-term commitments. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I guess I'm kind of getting into Sagittarius overtaking the house, but where there should be long-term commitments and long loyalty, you know, long-term, long loyalty standings of things. There is fickleness. There is here, there, everywhere. There is, well, what's in it for me? There is a Sagittarius quality of let's make a deal and let's schmooze and let's take a risk and let's gamble. You know what I mean? Nothing feels really sure or set in itself. You may feel like it's really hard for you to be an authority figure in whatever situation you're in. And it may be really hard, if not impossible, for you to take authority figures seriously. You know, why would I even take you seriously? You know what I mean? How are you any different from me? Just because you have a fancy piece of paper? You may also just not want to be an authority. You may have no interest in being a boss or running your own business. It just sounds like a lot of work and you're not really wanting to do that. You're wanting to have fun. You're wanting to explore in life. You're wanting to enjoy yourself. And doing something as draining as running your own business or having a higher position or being a boss just isn't fun and isn't what you want to fill your book of experiences up with in life, you know? If you lack the internal nurturing of Cancer, then of course you do not feel as though you are able to have the outer nurturing and the support to grow your own empire and your own legacy in life. You know, with Sagittarius overtaking the house, you're great at talking about what you want to do, but you may not be very good at following through with it, Capricorn. You may talk a big game and walk the walk and walk around with your thumbs in your armpits and your head held high, you know, but you may not have the follow through and the longevity and the long-term focus to really not quit. I do think this energy is a little bit of a quitter because Capricorn does not quit. It does not give up. It keeps on persevering no matter what's being thrown at it. And you may have a little bit more of a mentality of if it's not working the first time, why try a second time? You know, why keep forcing something? Why put more energy into it if I'm not automatically good at it because I have Sagittarius overtaking that house? I do think this is an energy that's really bad at finishing things. You know, this is definitely energy. It has the want. Oh, I have Aries. This is what I want to go out and do. This is what I want to make. This is my goal. You even have the Virgo of doing the meticulous planning and setting up, okay, this is what I'm going to do here. This is what I'm going to do there. But when push comes to shove, when it's 2 p.m. and you're actually supposed to do whatever it is you have planned, Sagittarius taking over that house, you might still be asleep. You might kind of give up on it. It might take, instead of an hour, it takes 2 hours. And then I'm kind of like, meh, you know what I mean? Also, I was thinking of it in a little bit of a devious way. When I was writing this out, I wrote, horrible at finishing things. Finishing. You know, if you lack that heart and passion for one specific thing that Cancer has, then of course it's going to be hard for you to continuously keep at it and be consistent. With Sagittarius overtaking the house, you're going to be very unfocused and sometimes slightly unmotivated to do the same thing day in and day out. This can definitely be somebody that changes jobs all the time. Not only do you change relationships, but you also change jobs and career paths as well. I don't know if I would trust this person on their word, if I'm being honest with you. Capricorn and Cancer are usually pretty good at keeping their word and usually aren't the ones to really pull the wool over your eyes too much unless they have a lot of other energies going on. But purely Cancer, Capricorn, if they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. No Capricorn, Sagittarius overtaking the house, can be lazy. It can just be, simple terms, somebody that's very lazy. You know, definitely I think there's a lack of structure in the family life growing up, a lack of strictness growing up, a lack of discipline in the future. You might have just not had a family that had much, you know, long-term planning, long-term thought, long-term discipline. It was very much, well, let's just take it as it comes. Let's figure it out as it happens instead of planning for what's next. And definitely think this is somebody that had a lot of empty threats. You just might have had parents that were kind of like, if you don't do this, you're gonna get in trouble. And then like the trouble never comes. You know, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. And then it like never happens. It may also, especially for like Saturn retrograde or Saturn intercepted, this is going to enforce this more. This might have been a parents that said out of nowhere, you haven't, you know, you got C's on your report card, you're grounded. And it's like, whoa. You never said I wasn't allowed to get C's. Like, where did this come from? C's passing. You're like, you know, I'm not failing, so what's the big deal? And they're like, well, obviously we're going to ground you if you get C's. And it's like, but you've never done this before. I've gotten C's in the past. Where the fuck is this coming from? May very much be a theme with Capricorn intercepted. You know, struggling with longevity, which can be things like buying a house, building up a bank account, building up a family for the future, building a legacy as well with that Capricorn. If you don't really have a want to have kids, maybe speculatively, with Cancer intercepted, or if you don't have kids with Cancer intercepted, then you can't build a legacy, Capricorn intercepted. You know, this is somebody that lacks ambition. You know, it's not super ambitious. You know, Capricorn intercepted, they're just kind of a little bit more content. Especially if you don't have any 10th house planets, you don't really need to like establish yourself or like make a big name for yourself or create this long-lasting legacy or have this strong fame or feel like you need to chip away at something and work hard, and you just don't really feel like you need to do that, which in a way is a little bit of something I'm jealous of. You know, there is a lot more contentment, you know, but at the same vein, I also wouldn't take away my ambition either. That's why it's at number 3. Like, I feel like that's the perfect spot for it. It's just kind of like you're okay with where you're at. You just want to enjoy yourself. It's more about the journey than the destination. Capricorn energy, oh, it is all about the destination, which can be very narrow-minded, and you can just let life pass you by with this with Capricorn energy. And with this energy, you're not going to do that. It's all about the journey, not at all about the destination. This can even be a little bit live fast, die young. Capricorn energy is all about longevity. Why the fuck would I want to live a long time? I want to go out fast and go out having fun. Very much Sagittarius rising with Cancer, Capricorn intercepted, you know, and a lot of times that's the energy that I see with it. So this is super YOLO sort of energy, you know? I also think that this energy is more accepting of things that go wrong. Capricorn energy, oh my God, it wants to control everything. Anything that goes wrong, that's whether it's in its control or out of its control, oh, it will just torture itself and kill itself over and be so angry and have so much resentment towards itself or towards others if things go wrong. Now with this energy, you're a little bit more accepting of it. Why do you give so many fucks? You can't control it, except, Sagittarius overtaking the house, accept it and move on. It is what it is. The world will keep on spinning, which I think in that way, it's a lot healthier. I think that this energy has a lot less stress than other energies. I think this energy is a lot less stressed out, reduces the risk of like heart attacks or strokes or things of that nature. It's just a lot more content and a lot more accepting, and it's giving, which makes sense because the Wheel of Fortune is very Jupiter anyways, but it's giving the Wheel of Fortune upright. It's giving, I take things as they come, what goes up comes down, whatever it is what it is, and let's keep going, which can be so comforting and so rare and, can be something to really value in this life, honestly. You just hold a lot less stress than other people, especially if you don't have any planets in the Capricorn. This may be somebody that lacks organization. With Virgo energy, you may be clean and tidy, but you may struggle with organizing things. Like I'm really good at like setting up a calendar, having, my daily to-do lists, organizing my collections of things. I really like organizing. I hate cleaning, but I love to organize. And with this interception, you may really not be somebody that's organized. Maybe you have a pile of all of your important paperwork and it's all just in one drawer shoved in there, but it's not organized. Maybe you have a bunch of makeup, but it's all just thrown in one container and you don't really go through it or whatever it may be. And especially with Sagittarius overtaking this energy, I feel like you really struggle to keep a calendar to, like maybe you have a routine, but with that Virgo energy, it's very routine oriented, but you struggle to know how to manage your time. Capricorn is all about time management, and that may be something that you really struggle with because this Capricorn is intercepted. For so long, you may go through these periods of giving up control, not needing control, letting everybody else around you control things and have the control and have the say so. And then there may be this flop of needing too much control and controlling things too much and really refusing to let things go and controlling things at very much the wrong time, wrong place, maybe a little bit using the wrong techniques or the wrong way, because interceptions are always extremes. Maybe you set your goal too big, something so unproportionately huge that it's impossible to get to. Maybe whenever you do set a goal, it's just these big, surmountable, unreachable tasks that are nearly impossible to chisel away at, that you get so overwhelmed that you just kind of throw away after a while. You may also feel like everybody around you is a fucking workaholic. Like you don't live to work, you work to live is very much the quality of this energy, which good for you. Fucking this is why this energy is not number 2, it's number 3. Fucking good for you. It was, how fucking serendipitous is it of me to be working on my weekend while filming this video? It's just, mwah. It's so ironic, truly. Now, I also think with this energy, because Cancer Capricorn is like work-home life balance, I think with this energy, you're going to do one extreme of the other. You're either have too much of your home life and you're only at home and you have no work life, or you only have a work life and you have no home. And there's just not that sort of back and forth balance. It's overdoing or underdoing one or the other. You may feel like you are nothing like your parents. You may feel so unrelatable to your mom and dad or your family. You may struggle with professionalism as well. You somehow lack both codependency with Cancer intercepted and independence with Capricorn intercepted, that you may kind of go back and forth, like I said, with the work-home life balance and do one extreme or the other and struggle with a balance of independence and codependence. You know what a better word is? You may struggle with interdependence, where you guys both need each other, but yet you still are able to do things outside of that. That may be what you struggle with. You may lack a strong autonomy or an ability to say, I believe in myself and I know I can do it because I say so. Pretty much all of the things I've accomplished in my life, I've done because I've said I can. Hi! hi. Oh, they're here. And you may struggle with that. Your autonomy. Hi. Hi, guys. Hello. And if you have Capricorn planets, but they're intercepted, you may have all these thoughts of building an empire, but you may not have the support behind you to actually do so. Or maybe there was an empire that was previously built by your family that you have no interest in taking part of. You know, maybe you have a family, maybe you have a bunch of Capricorn planets and they're intercepted. Maybe you have a family that owns a big business and, you know, they own Folger Coffee or something, but you have no interest in taking it over. You have no interest in going about actually, you know, finishing it up, and you just kind of want to, you know, skate through life a little bit, maybe the thought process with this energy. Or maybe with Capricorn planets, but them being intercepted, maybe you're always being asked to be the boss in a corporate setting or a business setting, but you are like, I really do not want to. You know, you're like, I have no interest in doing this. I feel like a monkey in a suit. I feel like I'm bad at it. I don't want to be the boss, but I'm always asked to be. You may jump from career to career to career to career because you lack that follow through, or you just maybe don't work as much. Like maybe you're somebody that like just didn't have to work growing up, and especially with Capricorn planets in there, maybe you just got a lot of things handed to you, or money handed to you, or support handed to you, and you never had to work at it yourself. It's also very Sagittarius, overtaking that house, you know, where there should be hard work and grit, there really is just like dumb luck, kind of, which isn't that bad, you know? I just don't think that you have that fear of failure like everyone else does. Or if you do, it's like so debilitating that you don't do anything because of it and you can't get past it. You may lack a certain loyalty, or you may just stand behind somebody despite differing morals or values. Because Capricorn, I do think, is very moralistic, and definitely judges people based on character and principle a lot of times. And so you may just not really be like that. You know, this can be somebody that like stands behind somebody even though their morals are a little bit iffy and they don't really believe in them, or stands behind somebody despite what their character is. Because that Sagittarius Gemini overtakes the houses, they may stand behind somebody just because of what they get out of them, you know, versus a Capricorn who stands behind something because, or someone because they believe in it and they believe in them and they believe in that person's morals or characters or values. In a good way, it's very like glass half full kind of energy. This is somebody, especially with no Capricorn planets, that is extraordinarily optimistic. Like, you know, Sagittarius overtaking that house. So where there should be pessimism, there is optimism. You know, where there should be cautiousness, there is throwing caution to the wind sort of energy. I was also thinking, because Capricorn rules the knees, you may have bad knees or be disconnected from the knees, or just not have very strong knees. Maybe you don't have very strong legs. And also maybe because of that, you know, if you don't have a very strong knees or strong connection to the knees, anytime things get tough, you may just kind of like give up and throw in the towel because you don't really have those, you know, strong knees to keep pushing through and keep going and persevering. Now let's talk about Sagittarius overtaking the house. So we already did a little bit. So as I mentioned, optimism takes the place where there should be long-term planning and cautiousness. Definitely a big theme of this is being asked to suppress your serious side, not being allowed to express how serious you are, how serious you may take things, or even how much you care. I think that Capricorn cares a lot about things. It cares a lot about the outcome of things. And with the Sagittarius energy, you may just not be allowed to show that and not allowed to care, or you just don't really care as much. But especially with Sagittarius rising and Capricorn intercepted in the first house, this is somebody constantly told the rhetoric of, you know, stop being so serious, put on a happy face, smile and get through it, smile and get over it. You know, if you're kind of like all talk and no action with this interception, talking is the way to make you get to the action. You know, this is somebody that's great at selling things, great at talking things up, great at, you know, talking stories up, selling stories to seem cooler and better than they are. I don't know if I believe everything they say, but the way they say it sure is enchanting and sure is interesting, isn't it? This can be a little bit of that con man energy with Sagittarius overtaking the house, just because you don't maybe have the best business practices with Capricorn intercepted. Also, a huge thing I was thinking with this energy is toxic positivity. Oh my God, because Capricorn Cancer is that energy that's like, this sucks, this is stupid, this is annoying, I hate this, I hate this, I hate that. So with this energy intercepted, you just might not hate as many things as other people, and there can be a real theme of toxic positivity with Sagittarius overtaking it. Everything's fine, the glass is half full, this is great, haha, hee hee, yes, everything's good, nothing's bad, ah la 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 la. Like, you know, it's definitely that energy of somebody who's like, especially if you have Cancer or Capricorn planets, but they're intercepted, that's like, the people that smile the biggest are the ones that hurt the most, or whatever that corny phrase is definitely a little bit of this energy. Definitely a big happy facade. It's just somebody that just doesn't really think things through all the time, but that usually turns out okay for them because it is Sagittarius overtaking the house, you know? That is Cancer Capricorn intercepted. Let's quickly touch on 4th house and 10th house interception. Okay, so with 4th house interception, you definitely lacked a steady home growing up, lacked a connection to your home, lacked the ability to feel safe, secure, and calm. You feel very unrelatable to your family. You may have difficulty in your family because you didn't know them, or you don't resonate with them, or you are not even maybe related to them just in general, especially if you have like 11th house energy. This is especially going to emphasize this 4th house interception because 11th house is like feelings of displacement and feelings of being adopted or just being very different to the rest of your family. You may lack a safe place that you feel like you're able to go home and take your bra off. Again, may not have had a strong, steady room or home growing up. Again, watch Cancer Capricorn interception if you have this one. You may relate to certain aspects of it. You feel very disconnected from your roots and very disconnected from your family background for one reason or another. You may not have had a strong mother or father figure. The problems that you have with your family would be the sign that is intercepted in your 4th house, and the traits that they showed instead of solving those problems would be the sign that's ruling the house. So for example, if you have Scorpio in the 4th house but Sagittarius intercepted, for example, your problems with your family was that they were so strict and so controlling. They did not let you be a fun, free Sagittarius person at all. They did not let you just go out and enjoy yourself and have fun and explore and say yes to things. They made you stay home, stay sheltered, stay in your room, and you felt very disconnected from them because of that. You felt like they never really got to know you because they were always just trying to control you. And so that is why you feel disconnected from your family, as an example. This may swing from too much privacy to not enough privacy at all, or being home too much or never home at all. And you may struggle to get vulnerable with people and tell people about your home life. This is somebody that's going to be very private about their home life and not really share much with anybody. But when they do share, they share too much and they share a little bit of an inappropriate amount. So then they go back to not sharing anything at all. It can be hard to get close to this person. It can be hard to feel like you know these people. It can feel like they keep a lot of their selves and their life private, especially the harder or uglier spots. They will kind of keep it to themselves and not speak about it and not speak up about it. So it can, again, be hard to feel like you know this person on an intimate level. Now let's talk about 10th house interception. I do think this is somebody that doesn't work as much as others. Or if they do work, it's not like your typical jobs. Like, it's not like, you know, maybe they didn't have to have a retail job when they were young, or they never were a waitress or waiter, or they've never really had a job where they're on a payroll, or they never had a job where they had a strong boss, or if they do, they just didn't really have to keep them for very long. You know, maybe for some reason they weren't really ambitious, or didn't really feel like they needed to set their sights on this like long-term ambitious job, or work. Maybe they've never had to work their way up a job. This could be somebody that is, you know, falls into nepotism even, and you know, just got the job because their parents had the job. Maybe they have planets in their 10th house, and so they just got the job because of nepotism, not because they actually had to like work at it and climb the ladder. You may jump from one career to another, never really settling on one. You may have your fingers in a bunch of different pots, but there might not be, you know, one career path or two career paths that you really follow aggressively your whole life. You may jump from doing this to doing that to doing that. And the way that you do it may be through a little bit less structured in a way, you know, oh, I'm kind of doing this on the side, but then I'm throwing that away because I'm going to be a landlord now because my parents own an apartment complex. So I'll try the landlord thing, but it's just kind of half-assed. And then, oh, maybe I'll try to start my own business, but nah, that doesn't really work out. So I'm just going to do this instead. And I'll hop off of that, and I'll hop on and piggyback on this, you know, kind of quality. You may struggle to be seen on a public scale. You may be really embarrassed because, let's be honest, if you have an intercepted 4th house, you don't have a strong connection to yourself and your roots, and who you are at the core of you. So if you don't know who that is, how are you going to display that on a public scale? How are you going to feel comfortable with a bunch of people looking at you when you don't even feel comfortable with yourself looking at you? Especially because you might change and be very fickle with your career. Why are you going to put yourself out there if you just might change your mind again in a few months, you know? I think this can create somebody that's very self-conscious, actually. Because I think if an unintercepted 10th house says, I'm going to take up space in my career and in the public sphere, and I'm going to stake my claim. With an intercepted 10th house, you may just be a lot more self-conscious and nervous how many people may take you, because you don't know how you take you, so how will you know how others take you? And this can be somebody that's just a little bit more unassertive, doesn't really have a strong sense of authority in themselves, needs to have another authority kind of telling them what to do or overlooking them, but also they may also rebel against this authority just the same because they don't like having strong authority over them. They didn't really have a strong authority growing up. Maybe their father wasn't the most, you know, reprimandy, you know, threatening, strong of an energy sort of father, and maybe your mother wasn't like that either. She didn't kind of take that place either, and so you're just not used to having this super strong-headed authority over you, so it can be very confusing when you do. But in the same vein, you also struggle to be your own authority as well, and so it's just kind of equals somebody that just doesn't work as much, in my opinion, you know? You may not know what you want to do with your life, and you may struggle with this long-term, future-oriented planning. You may struggle with long-term goals and setting up yourself up for success in the future. It definitely can be an aimlessness sort of energy if you have, you know, maybe Piscean or Libra qualities as well, Gemini even, Sagittarius even qualities as well in the birth chart. If you have Capricorn energy, then you are desperate to make a claim and stake a claim in yourself and in your job and in your career, but you just may feel like you're never given those opportunities too. You maybe didn't have many authority figures or teachers or bosses to really look up to and model yourself after growing up. Maybe your parents always kind of just had a job where they had a boss, or one of your parents didn't work and the parent that did work just gave child support, so you never visually saw them support you, you know, financially. You may struggle with getting that culmination and getting the recognition you want or deserve. Early problems within the relationships within your family, within your 4th house, may show up as problems with bosses growing up. And so I need to solve those problems with my family first before I'm able to solve them within my career and within my job. Again, themes of not working at all or working too much. It's hard to get that work-home life balance really in there. Again, you may struggle also as well in growing up. You may put things on to seem as though you're growing up and to seem as though you're a grown-up, especially because most millennials have Neptune and Capricorn, so again, this is going to be further emphasized within millennials. You may put on a lot of things that grown-ups do, but it may be a little superficial. For example, I'm older now, so I'm going to dress professionally. I'm going to dress in a suit, but you may have never actually be doing the things that grown-ups do that puts them in a suit. Maybe you don't really have your own bank account or manage your own money. Maybe you don't really have your own job or manage your own job. Maybe you don't have the independence and are able to go out and get the independence that a lot of adults have. And so you're kind of putting on this display if you're trying to appear as though you have, or you're growing up and, you know, especially with Neptune and Capricorn, you're trying to appear as though you're a grown up, but it's really just all of these superficial things that kind of like almost like virtue signal that you're a grown up without actually stepping into that. If you care or have Capricorn or 10th house energy. If you don't, then you're just going to be a kid and you're going to be fine with it, and you're just not going to have a job and live off of your parents' money or something along those lines for the rest of your life, whatever it may be, which, hey, more power to you. Honestly, that's much more fun. But yes, that is my video about Cancer Capricorn intercepted, as well as 4th house, 10th house intercepted. I really hope that you enjoyed it or resonated with it or got something out of it. Again, I will not be doing Leo Aquarius next week. I will be off next week, and then I'll be doing my zodiac tier list for the end of the year, so I'm very excited about that. But thank you so much for watching. Again, I sell birth chart readings on my website, shainaemily.com. I have a TikTok at shaina.emily. Always check my bio to see when I'm going live for that week. If you have this interception or the, you know, whatever it may be, any experience with it, please leave your comments down below. I've been enjoying the shit out of reading your guys' insight. Bye and happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I should have said that at the beginning. Merry Christmas. Merry early Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. All that good stuff. I guess like the next time I will be seeing you will actually be in 2025. So happy 2025. All right. Bye guys. Peace.